Hello, everybody. I'm I'm Alegika from ODWeb. I will be your event organizer for the next days, and very glad to see you all here. So I will tell you a few generic information about the conference. Then I will pass by microphone to Eric. So there will be 3 talks in parallel in 3 distinct rooms. One of them is this one called Ronda. The other one is just across the hallway. It's called Rhapsodia. And the third room, it's on the 2nd floor, where you can go with the elevators from the main hallway. In all the rooms, there will be my colleagues. They will have a blue badge. If you need anything to prepare the laptop for the presentation or anything, just ask them, or at the main welcoming desk at the entrance. We have boards for the lightning and the open talks on the main hall, so please go there and sign up for them. Lunch will be right across this room where the coffee is served. And dinner party will be tomorrow at 7 p.m. I will send again a new email with all the information, but you can find it on the website. It's plone.conf.org/social. The map, it's the location, it's everything there. And nevertheless, I want to thank our late sponsor from Syslab. Thank you. Okay, I hope you will have a great conference and a great stay in Bucharest. Thank you. Eric?
Thank you. It's really great to see everybody here today. Sorry, let me just turn this off so I'm not talking into both. There we go, okay. Yes, so, Plone. I said this last night on Twitter, but everybody's been asking me, is your talk done yet? Is your talk done yet? And no, because I care about giving you 100% fresh information. So, Plone just, last week, I believe, had its 14th birthday, last Monday, actually. So that means we're entering into our 15th year, which is amazing as a software community. And there's been some debate within our community over whether or not that's something that we can actually say out loud. Because when you say our software is 15 years old, people see that as a static piece of a thing that came out 15 years ago and is still that thing. And they see that meaning antiquated and obsolete. So there's a premise known as my grandfather's axe, or the ship of Theseus. And it basically says, this is my grandfather's axe. I've replaced the handle when it broke, and I put a new head on when it chipped, but it is still the same axe that was given to me by my grandfather. So lovingly cared for, it remains a vibrant new tool, but with the weight of every single day's worth of experience behind it. Plone. Plone does security, it does longevity, it does accessibility, it does data migration, and it does content. And with that base, though the components may change, Plone really continues to evolve with the strength of its community behind it and the lessons we've learned. So let's look at that latest evolution. So first of all, I just want to say thank you. I've never seen so much love and energy devoted to this project than I've seen over the last year. And it's been absolutely amazing to watch. And to thank any one person would be to forget someone else, so I'll just make that a general thank you. But we've built something truly special here. And there's excitement and energy and praise from the unlikeliest of places. So yeah, let's do a quick demo. I'm going to do something I never do, and that is do a live demo, because it comes into play later. Unfortunately, well, Chris, our board member Chris, is going to be by mic stand. Yes. it is. Okay. Plone 5. This will be fun. This is why I don't do live demos. Now I remember. There we go. We found it. All right. So Plone 5 has a Plone 5 has an all-new design, which you can see right here, obviously. One of the main things here is the new toolbar. We've taken all of bits out of. Sorry. Okay, I'll see what I can do. Go ahead. You're free to go. Thank you. Mic stand, everybody. Mic stand. So one of the things you'll see here is our new toolbar. We took everything out of the personal toolbar and the long-standing green bar and put them into one place. So you'll see we can access our folder contents, add new items, change our workflow here, and basically everything you used to be able to do from random buttons and links around the screen, just now all in one place. And the nice thing about this is it lives outside of the theme, so that when you theme your site, you don't have to worry about monkeying with that accidentally. So that's taken care of. And as you can see on a smaller screen, it does scale down pretty well. One of the first things here, we are a content management system, and managing content is rather important to that whole process. And a big part of that is our folder contents. This is the new folder contents view. This is something that was built off of wildcard.foldercontents from Nathan Van Giem. And what you'll see here is we actually now can drag and drop, and things will go where we expect them to, which is a really nice change from previous versions of Plone. But we can also do things like bulk editing, which is something we haven't had before. Oh, yeah, you're right. There we go. So I can add a new tag, apply that to all of these, and you won't see that just yet, but yeah, if I go in and I can add other columns to this, so I don't really care about review state right now. So I'm going to turn that off. There we go. Hiding on me. And so now we have our tags column. We can see that was applied to each and every one of those items I selected. We can do live filtering on this. Here we can do searches to narrow that down and then do actions on all of those items we found. And you can do the standard cut, copy, paste that we've always had. This also allows uploading, which is really handy. Let's see if this is going to move. All right. Excuse me while I go over to this screen to find a file. Came a long way. There we go. So I can upload directly through here by drag and drop. So I just drop that image on here, and I can bring that into the folder. Just like that. So there's our new image. We've also made changes to a lot of our add and edit forms. So if I go in, say we'll add a new page, we've added a whole new set of widgets. We have new TinyMCE, which is much better than what we had previously. Fully responsive, so it'll work on all your mobile devices, and gives us a lot nicer tools to work with, so we can see things in line, looking at the formatting in place and that sort of thing. We have also made changes, so I can see my new tags I added. We can rearrange those there. We can search through the site, find new items. So if I want to look into events and select that, add that here, add this new image, and we'll add this too. And we can rearrange those however we'd like. Didn't mean to hit that. There we go. And form validation works. we have new date time pickers, which are a lot more usable, and yeah, tags field there. And so, yeah. So this toolbar, we can collapse it, expand it, put it, actually you can also put it across the top if you'd like. But right now what I want to do is go into the control panel. So we redesigned our control panel to make it a little bit easier, nicer to look at, easier to find things. Our add-ons page has undergone a complete revamp. It's so much nicer now. You'll see all your upgrades listed here at the top. Much nicer listing of what's available and what is already installed. We now do social media metadata, so you can add your Twitter name for Twitter cards in your site. We also do things to make Facebook Open Graph available. The biggest change here in our site is that we're now based entirely on Diazo. So we've done a complete revamp of all the HTML structure on the pages, cleaned it up quite a bit. There's no more base href. There's no more definition lists to make the portlets. It's all clean semantic HTML5. And we take that and we put Diazo on top of it as our base theme. And so what this gives us is that now we can copy our base theme and edit it in the theme editor. So if I look at this, this is our base HTML that creates the page, and here's all the less files that went into using this. Plone's base theme, Barceloneta, uses less as its towards CSS. Let's see if I can find the right one. Oh boy. I knew I should have worn my glasses today. Okay, I'm not going to be able to do that here. But so what we can do is we can go in and make changes to this and recompile the less live in the site. So it'll run through and recompile everything, and we'll be able to see those changes live. And it's a really powerful tool. It really makes that whole initial theming experience a lot easier, where we can go in, just make changes right there in the site, and see them right away. Plone 5 is using Dexterity as its new content type basis. We have taken we've taken archetypes out. If you're using archetypes, you can still use it, and it'll still work today. But we're slowly deprecating it. If you're building a new site, Dexterity will be the default content type framework. And with Dexterity, you get the ability to go through and build your content types through the web, extend them with behaviors which add additional fields or different behaviors within the site. So you can apply workflow or data abilities and that sort of thing. So, Plone 5, we also have, as part of that content type reworking, we've added a new event type so that we have now the ability to do quite a bit more. So we have our standard event start and end. We do whole day events, and now we can also do open-ended events, which just have a start date. But most importantly, we've finally gotten recurrence right. And this is something we've been working on for years. But so we can do things like, say, we'll run this meeting weekly every Sunday and Tuesday until the end of the year. So we'll see all the instances of that we get and add individual dates to that. And this event will be repeated on all of those dates. It'll show up in your calendar. It'll show up in your catalog searches. Okay, so that's the basics of Plone 5. There we go. Okay. So the things you can't see in that, one of those is accessibility and multilingual behavior. Plone meets WCAG2, the area specifications, and ATAG2 requirements. This is something Max will be talking about tomorrow. Our accessibility covers devices too, not just abilities. We are fully responsive out of the box. Barceloneta is responsive. It'll work on any device, and our widgets will work on any device. So you can read, add, edit, and manage your content from anywhere. We also have a new multilingual framework that ships with Plone, not just sort of lives alongside it, like we have with Lingual Plone. And we're able to manage those translations for both dexterity and archetypes content. So basically that means we get all the content all the time for all the people. And that's super important. We've added Plone API to core to make the task of working with Plone even easier. So that basically we want to be able to cover the cases where you want to extend Plone, make probably about 80% of the tasks even easier, so that we have one consistent way of doing things that continues to work as we expand Plone. Plone plays well with other users, other services, integrators, designers. Andreas will show you tomorrow I believe, how he's built round-trip data access from other CMSs, Dropbox, Google Drive, Evernote, and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And we really recognize that Plone isn't the right choice for every project. And that's something that as a community we've been known for years, saying, don't use Plone for this. Plone is a CMS. There are other tools that are better at doing this particular task. And so you might want to make that feature in Pyramid, Django, Flask, or God help us all, PHP, or use some existing service. And Plone will let you integrate that other solution seamlessly. We will talk to the same database, use the same authentication layer, and you can make it look exactly the same seamless part of your website using Diazo. So Plone 5 includes automatic CSRF protection. It's cross-site request forgery. And we're the only content management system out there with that sort of protection baked into our database layer. And this is automatic. It extends to all the add-ons installed in your site. And we are designer friendly. This is David Bain. You may know him from the community as Pigeon Flight. He lives in Jamaica, and I'm supposed to tell you that he is planning a theming sprint in Jamaica in January, which may be a good idea for everyone. He's one of our earliest adopters of Diazo, and I spoke with him about his experiences using it. And he told me this. He says, Diazo has allowed us to separate the designer role from the developer role. That means we can implement themes faster and more reliably. He's able to build sites 5 to 10 times faster than he was before. He says he no longer feels constrained by Plone's layout, by the base layout, and he's gained a lot of new flexibility with that. He told me the most important thing about these two sites is that the designer built almost all the layout and interactions in Webflow, which is a third-party design software, without any need to write code. And then using Diazo's theming framework, we were able to make our static sites dynamic without crossing our fingers and hoping it would look the same. And that's powerful. And you'll hear a similar story this week from the Plone Intranet project. They built a really superior user experience by fitting the back-end response directly into the UI mockups provided by their designer. And that includes both the design and the functionality using both Diazo and mockup. So in Plone 3, we made a lot of changes to our infrastructure to make processes more standardized, more repeatable, more programmatic. In a developer's mind, that means working through the browser was dirty. It was horrible. You shouldn't be able to do that because it doesn't follow best practices. You can't take that and stick it into at the time, SVN or CBS, any sort of source control, and there's no repeatability with it. And so when things went through the browser, your changes lived somewhere they shouldn't. And so we really said, you're doing it wrong. you're doing it the wrong way. And we really tried to save people from themselves, but something really got lost in the process. I found this quote about it, and it says, back in the day, Plone used to be hackable. And by hackable, I mean that any semi-technical Yahoo, as the author self-identifies, who needed a website could get it up and running and then poke around in the code to see how it all worked. The code was fairly uncomplicated, though often somewhat messy, and that was fine. At the end of the day, it did what you needed. But here's the thing. That quote wasn't actually about Plone. It's about Drupal 8, which is in release candidate now. We see Drupal going through the same process, the same backlash from power users. And it seems like this is really a necessary process in the evolution of any CMS project, or software for that matter. But it's a crucial turning point for this. In order to sustain future development, the core of the software really needs to be strengthened and solidified. But if you can't use that strength to give something back to the users, to help them build and create, it'll be the death of your project. So how do we solve that? I've never been whistled at. That's fantastic. Eric Brault, who's in the audience, there he is. Okay, he wrote a great blog post about this topic, and he said this. He said, "That is simple. We must produce a clean, straight, unhackable core, and we implement hackability on top of it as a feature." So what we really want to do is be empowering in all the right places. Bring back through the web, but make it something that fits with our best practices. Make it so that you can put the data in, do things quickly and quick and dirty if you'd like, but also make it clean so that you can get them out and put them where they belong in GitHub, SVN, whatever you'd like. So Plone's really made a commitment to providing through the web customization as a feature. That means that the integrators have more power to tweak, but it also allows for more agile communication between your customers and the providers. We can use through the web prototyping to free up developers and let them tackle more interesting and fun problems. And instead of just providing a field here and there. We don't dumb down to our users, but we provide them with safe, efficient, and powerful tools so solution providers can focus on providing real innovation. So I'd like you to introduce you to Annette Lewis, who also sent me this picture, which is awesome. So I'm going to use that instead. Annette's the web designer for Penn State University's College of Liberal Arts. And I was lucky enough to see a demonstration of her sites back in the spring. And she showed us her workflow, and it really made me step back and take another look at what we've been creating here, because it really put it all in context for me. It struck me that she's really a part of a new generation of Plone user, and a perfect example of everything we've been working for lately as a community. Annette went through, tried a number of CMSs, text pattern, Joomla, Drupal, before eventually selecting Plone. And she wants me to stress that while she's picked up some skills along the way, she is definitely not a developer. Annette runs 40 sites right now, and it's up over 100 if you include all of the individual core sites. She has a very simple setup. She doesn't use a lot of add-ons, but she has a base theme and policy product that installs some basic components to each site. And then past that, everything else is done entirely through the web via Dexterity, page templates, and our built-in theme editor. And she says the diazo semantics came really quickly to her. So her goal is basically to get content onto the page in any way she can. And she'll use Dexterity fields, page templates, and portlets to do that. And then she's able to take that content and create very complex layouts, and they don't all have to look the same. She says, it feels like you can do a lot from the front without touching the back. And she tells me, but please don't ever make me go into the ZMI again. She says that doing everything through the web allows her to make 100 small changes throughout the day, and because she doesn't have to restart the server for each change, she isn't kicking her editors out of the site, because once she has to do that, she'll lose them all. And so, and then at the end of the day, she's able to pull those changes back out of Plone and into version control. So basically, this workflow allows her to build a site from the ground up in about 2 weeks, which is unheard of in our community until now. I'm blown away by it. I love it. Yeah. So what we're really building here with Plone 5, while Plone 5 is awesome, what we want to do is really make a platform for the future. All these changes we've been making to our JavaScript layer, boy, that's tiny, sorry, have been leading to this. This is Mosaic, which is the successor to the oft-repeated Deco project. So, I'm sorry, Rob. So basically with Mosaic, we gain the ability to create complex page layouts. With Diazo, we get to theme. This is working with the content that's within the page. This really speaks to Annette's ability to get content onto the page in any way she can. So we can add tiles to the page, and this can be text or content type fields or images or external content. And because we're using a responsive grid, it'll shrink perfectly. So basically this allows us to stick content on the page, move it around, and make it look however we would like. And these layouts can be reused and saved. You can use them to set it as the default content type, default view for a content type, and apply those as you see fit. And we have definitely made sure that the ability to create these can be given to specific users and not every Yahoo has a login on your site. So this is currently in beta. If you look for Plone app Mosaic, and Asko Soka has, I'm sorry I butchered that, but he's been working on this nonstop for the last year, and been doing some amazing work. But if you check out community.plone.org, he's been basically keeping a running commentary on what he's done with every release he's made. This is in beta 4, I believe. So we're getting close to having this for real. So Mosaic is really the final piece in realizing the goals we set forth over the past 10 years. We heard Leamy get up here year after year and say Diazo, Deco, and Deliverance, and Dexterity. That, yes. We have, the theme was, yeah. Yes. So yeah, this is really the last piece in that triumvirate of features, and so most of that old guard that we had that was thinking of those things have moved on to other careers, other projects, and a new generation here has come and taken their place, and we're almost done with what they've dreamt up, and we've reached a point where we're no longer building towards their dream, but we're able to start talking about what ours is. And so this year, we had the Plone Open Garden. We turned that into an official strategic summit, which is something we haven't done since 2008. We gathered together our community's greatest beards in one place to talk slowly and emphatically. We talked about a number of community issues like diversity and communications, which I'm sure we'll continue here during the open spaces on Friday. But there are a lot of discussions about the code base, and that's what I'll focus on today. We really worked on a general roadmap for Plone 6 and beyond, and I want to touch on 3 of those things today. So we already have Plone API, but we'll continue to expand that further. We want to provide basically one canonical way of handling most of the tasks you need to do with Plone. This allows us to hide the complexity of the code base, and also, hide the complexity of the code base from the users that still need to see it. And it allows us to future-proof a bit. When you're building against Plone API, those are things that don't change. Even though the stuff underneath may change, Plone API stays the same. And we're also working on a RESTful API. And REST, for those who don't know, is basically a lightweight alternative to the other web service API standards, basically coming up with a set list of verbs for websites to make them all respond the same. And so we've already started work on a RESTful API. What we want to do is provide a layer of separation between our front end and our back end functionality. And we can open up the core technical strengths of Plone towards various native front ends, whether that's JavaScript in the browser, or native or mobile, or native mobile or desktop front ends. So we're looking at what new sorts of front ends we can create. Unfortunately, the JavaScript world is in a constant state of change, which from a long-running community as ours, from the viewpoint of a long-running community as ours, is painful to look at. But it's been interesting to watch from the outside. I prefer this one better. This is actually a running web app, which makes it even better. It kind of sums up my feelings about JavaScript perfectly. But we're taking a measured approach right now to the JavaScript front end. Basically, Plone isn't going to commit to a certain technology right now, but what we're going to commit to is creating a sane base layer with tested JavaScript and proper JavaScript community methodologies, so that others in our community can go out and build these interfaces. We already have someone working with AngularJS. There's others talking about Require.js. And what we're going to do is let those be built and let them play out in the add-on space to see which one really works well for us. And this is something we've done in the past. We've had Dexterity, which beat out Devilstick. Who remembers Devilstick? Exactly. We had, yeah, well, I know you do. And this is the one time I'll say thank you, Martin. Yes. We have Diazo, which beat out Deliverance and XDV, and Mosaic, which beat out Deco and the other Deco and the Deco that was before that. And in each case, our projects grew stronger because we were able to take the things that did work from the projects that didn't succeed and incorporate them into the ones that won, and really made them a lot better. And another thing we've talked about, there's been quite a bit of conversation about this over the past few years, discussing the layers underneath Plone, ZOP and CMF. Right now, Plone is the primary consumer of CMF and ZOP 2, and we've really seen minimal development activity on both fronts. And some infrastructure issues from the ZOP end. And we've really been asking ourselves if they're becoming liabilities at this point. We've gone through a lot of discussion over how we should deal with this. And do we try to move to a different back end? Do we try to improve ZOP? And what we've come up with is that ZOP is our answer, but it needs some help. What we really want to do is reduce the complexity of our code base while also taking the opportunity to modernize it. And it's something we've really made attempts to do in the past, and to put it nicely, we were rebuffed. And yeah, that didn't end well. Ideally, what we want to do is be able to take this on with the blessing of the ZOP and CMF communities. And I've tried to remain fairly diplomatic about this so far. But my current feelings on this topic can be summed up in one phrase that we saw last week. Plone hotfix, whatever, fixes multiple CSRF vulnerabilities in ZOP, which I read this way. Plone fixes multiple vulnerabilities in ZOP. To put it not so politely, you're welcome. Now get your shit together or get out of the way. This is a project that we can evolve slowly over time. We don't have to do it right now, but it's something we can start now. We're in a position right now where we can control our own destiny. We built layers of abstraction in Plone that will allow us to make these sorts of dramatic changes. So we have our, if you're using Plone API, the code behind it you don't need to worry about. Using Diazo is basically an API for our visual layer, and Mockup is an API for our interaction layer. So we built these layers of separation. We can make dramatic changes in the back without you ever having to see it. And we can minimize the the negative side effects on you as a site owner or user. Switching topics, we hosted a Plone 5 release party in Munich last month, about a week early, but that's mostly my fault. But I ran through a demo similar to what I did this morning, but a little more coherent. And in addition to the local Plone community, we also had a number of Django and Flask developers who showed up, probably because there was free beer. But every one of them I spoke to said something along the lines of, I didn't realize you guys were around anymore. But after the demo, this is what I heard. And the tone had changed considerably. They said, wow, and other things. And so when you put Plone in front of someone now, they just get it. They see what we're trying to do. They see how it can fit into their workflow. They can see the pieces. And they can see how Plone will work for them. Each and every day, there's someone out there looking for a new web platform, and there's no reason right now that that shouldn't be Plone. This is a dark picture of 6 Feet Up's Calvin Hendricks Parker giving a 10-minute demo of Plone last night to his local Python user group. And just judging by the response on Twitter, it was a resounding success. He went in and themed a Plone site in 10 minutes and blew everyone out of the water. This is also from last night, from the program committee chair for PyCon 2016. He says, for the avoidance of doubt, I consider Pyramid and Plone to be significant enough for inclusion in PyCon, which of course we are. But it's a big turnaround for PyCon, who didn't even have any web framework talks last year. Historically, Plone has been considered a bit too old of a project to be interesting, but my grandfather's axe is still as sharp as ever. This is our chance to come back and show them what we've learned and what we've made while we weren't watching, while they weren't watching. And so really when someone asks, you guys are still around, I'd say to them, we're still here. We've always been right here, but right now, we're going everywhere. Thank you.